Hi, I'm Ann Coulter. Welcome to my Substack. I've been dying to have Scott Adams back on with everything that has happened in politics in the last month. I was trying to find the perfect Democrat to interview Scott, and I talked to my very few smart Democrat friends, and they gave me a million suggestions. And I kept looking at these people, and the problem with liberals is you hear it every place. It's they're screaming at you from your television screen. They're at every newspaper. They don't have anything new or interesting to say. Whereas you always have something new and interesting. So welcome, Scott Adams.
Wow, the pressure to be new and interesting. But all I have to do is beat your Democrat friends. That's the bar.
Fair point. That's kind of a low bar. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about that.
Okay, so what have you been thinking? I mean, so much has happened from. Were you shocked by how Biden was at the debate? Did you think they were going to have to withdraw him? Were you surprised that they then moved to Kamala? And then we'll get to my most hated person, Tim Walz. Go.
Well, let's go back to 2018 when I had a meeting with President Trump. He was meeting with some supporters over the summer, and we were making conversation. And he asked me in 2018, who do I think he was going to run against? And I said, you know what? I think Kamala Harris is going to be your toughest competition just because she checks the boxes, and that seems to be the thing that matters the most. Now he said, no, I think it's going to be Biden. I think Biden I'm going to run against. So it turns out Trump was right. His hunch was 100%. It was Biden. But in being wrong, I was about as right as you can be while being 100% wrong. It's the weirdest thing. And I think she was actually president for about 10 minutes while he was under sedation once. And now she's knocking on the door again.
Well,
So
probably every single day, since he's always the equivalent of under sedation.
yeah. Now I would say I don't know what year I started sounding the alarm, as in that's obviously the beginning of dementia. You really want to try 4 years of this? And I never stopped saying it. So and then it turned into common knowledge the hard way after the debate. It couldn't have gone in really a more entertaining way, as horrible as it is. And all the questions, I have the same questions everybody else does, which is, were the Democrats intentionally taking him out? They knew how that was going to go, right? So I kind of think that they at least set him up. Um, I don't know that they loved their choice of Kamala Harris, but apparently they looked at all their options, looked at the timing, and said, look, we got one shot, and our best shot is to make sure she doesn't ever talk to anybody. she,
That's true.
she can read in front of people, but we can't have her talking. That's going to be a trouble. And then I love the idea that she's bringing her VP to have a conversation with her the first time she's going to talk to a real journalist. So everything about this screams that it's just 2019 again. And by that, I mean, I'd be watching Biden and I'd say, am I the only one who sees this? Like, why isn't everybody saying what I'm saying? And I just spent 4 years confused until there it is. Oh, okay, there's that. Now you all see it. Now, obviously, it got worse in that time. But I think it's obvious from the videos we have that she's not a good question responder of anything. It doesn't even matter the topic. And, since it's a vibe election, I'm going to say something that is not proven. It's just the vibe. She looks drunk to me. She looks inebriated. I would identify it as likely alcohol. Doesn't have to be. But, and there are a number of videos now of her in some kind of quasi-public event where she seemed quite sloshed. Now, the reason I feel confident in saying that is that more recently, especially, she's at least talked to the cameras, and she's very definitely not. You can tell she's not inebriated. She's 100%, which makes it all the more obvious that those videos are some different personality entirely. So
Well,
I
I
think
think she's high. I mean, that constant cackling and um, the weird, new age jags she goes off on. That isn't drinking behavior.
Well, it depends what the source of all this is, because there's some suggestion it might be social anxiety. Now, I'm no expert, but if I were trying to cure my social anxiety, I might think of a drink or a pill of some kind before I would think of something that might make me paranoid. So I would rule out marijuana, but I see why you're saying it. Like, it's still, I wouldn't rule it out, I guess. I'd put it a little bit lower on the list, but top five.
I had a very smart friend, his name you would know, a writer, an intellectual, but he did have massive social anxiety. You just reminded me of this. But he'd always go to cocktail parties and he would just, very, I think, kindly, considerately, instantly make his way to the bar. And once he had a drink in him, he was fine. But he
Yeah.
wasn't giggling all the time. He wasn't cackling and he wasn't going off on, I don't know, the meaning of time or anything.
I, I think I've seen somebody who had that laughing thing, uncontrollable laughter. And there's actually, I don't remember the name for it, but there's a name for it where you do laughing instead of responding to questions. My stepson had that. He died of a fentanyl overdose. But
Oh,
when he was a teenager, he would do this annoying thing where we thought he was just wouldn't obey. He would just laugh. And we eventually found out there's a name for it. It's an actual,
Tourette's?
no, there's an actual syndrome that makes you laugh and you almost can't form a sentence for a little while. Uh,
That's Kamala.
yeah.
That's
So,
Kamala. It's very strange. What I hate about it. I mean, I've seen other people do it, not to this extent. But when someone is trying to be funny but isn't funny, the way they get the audience to laugh is to laugh at themselves. James Carville does this all the time. He thinks he's just, a laugh riot. And, you start out of politeness to laugh along with him, but then you start feeling like an idiot because nothing was funny. And that is totally Kamala. She forces her audience to make themselves look like idiots by laughing at things that are not remotely funny.
and the other thing is it might be a stalling tactic because she doesn't know quite what to say next. So laughing for a while gives her a little time to think about it. Now, I
So
want to say again, I have no evidence whatsoever that there's any kind of inebriation, but it's completely fair that if it looks like it, you bring it up. Because it looked to me in 2019 like Biden's had some problems, and you only have to find one acorn before you think, can you listen to me the next time?
I totally thought they were going to do Weekend at Bernie's. I think they would have, and they would have gotten away with it, and probably have been in better stead if only they hadn't had that debate. I mean, they jacked him up on meds before two State of the Union addresses. I was kind of surprised he pulled those off so well. I'd love to know the people who were standing with Biden right before they pushed him out onto the debate stage. What were they thinking? I mean, yeah, he has up days, down days, good times. At that point, when you see what he's like, you got to say, oh my gosh, he has COVID. We've got to get him out of here immediately. We'll reschedule.
Yeah, it must have been torturous to try to figure out how to navigate that situation. But there also had to be some like weird denial going on where they'd seen what you just mentioned. He probably had lots of bad moments privately, but then they put him in front of the State of the Union and they're like, well, okay, surprise us a little bit. Maybe he always rises, because he's got sort of muscle memory of how to act in public or something. Because that's the thing, right? You could have specific domains that wouldn't make sense, but you still can maintain them because different parts of your brain are rotting, I guess. So maybe they thought they had a shot, which wouldn't be. Well, I guess it's all terrible because they knew what he was like behind closed doors. That it's inexcusable. I was trying to soften it a little bit just to be polite, but it's completely inexcusable.
It also makes it a little bit more difficult for Kamala to, as they certainly did at the convention, act like she's the hope and change. We're not going back. We're totally overturning the disaster of the last 4 years. I mean, she acts like she hasn't been vice president this whole time. Well, we know Biden wasn't running the administration. We know he didn't know what he was doing. So, okay, I guess it's his advisors, Ron Klain, and one presumes the vice president. It seems to me she's more culpable than Biden.
Absolutely, because my understanding is if you're going to do the 25th Amendment, it's the VP and one member of the cabinet, right?
Really?
So, which really means the vice president, because all she has to do is get one person to say yes. That can't be the hardest thing in the world. So yeah, I mean that comes down to it. But here's what I find fascinating. So we have this situation where I think most of the country feels like we don't exactly have a president. It's probably some kind of shared cabal going on. But at the same time, the wheels haven't completely come off. And here's the interesting part. I don't think we're going to elect a president. Because here's what I think. I think that whoever wins, the other side is going to be 100% sure that they need to stop it, reverse it. It was rigged. Different reasons, right? The Democrats are going to say, well, looks like you elected an insurrectionist. Let me show you how that's not legal. We'll remove him from office. And if Harris wins, the Republicans are going to say, these are some unusual looking results from these specific precincts. I'm not sure we believe this is true.
You can watch complete episodes of Unsafe with Ann Coulter by subscribing to anncoulter.substack.com. That's anncoulter.substack.com. You can also listen to complete episodes for free at Ricochet.com. Choose Unsafe from the pull-down menu at the top of the page. That's Ricochet.com, your home for civil center right conversation on the web.